why doesn't the lower caste revolt? In my coaching and consulting work, I am frequently asked if the unwritten rules are written by the upper caste. Why are my biggest bullies people who look like me, particularly among women? Shouldn't they understand my struggle? And Isabel Wilkerson explains this very well. The greatest threat to any caste system is the lower caste success. So the system creates what she calls the necessity of the bottom rung. And people will fight and step on each other to not be on that bottom rung. Because being on the second rung is better than being on the bottom. You get women policing other women's professionalism, especially white women policing women who are not white, or queer and gender nonconforming women. Anything that can be something that puts someone on a lower rung becomes the target for someone clinging to their rung. I do a lot of work with people who experience social class mobility and have moved up the ranks. And in the US, so like, there's the American dream. Why am I hated? This is what we say we're about. Because there's still the subconscious belief that we all get what we deserve. And so the upper people who are born into the upper class think they deserve it, and you don't. You're threatening the class system if what they have is accessible. I frequently hear from my clients of color. People hate to see a successful Black person because it's stepping out of their caste, and it threatens when they see that what they saw as the bottom rung is getting closer. They see their rung on the ladder coming down. So a tactic that the very top rung uses to keep the caste system in place is to give one group just a little more power. Not nearly what they have, not the billions, just a little more. And then they will fight to stay on that rung, and they become more hated by the bottom rung than the top. Prime example of this, after Bacon's Rebellion, 1676, when they decided, okay, we're not going to use any more European indentured servants. We are only going to use African slaves because they just tried to unite and overthrow us, and there are more of them than us. We have to make a visible marker between them that's different. They gave just a little bit of land to white men, just a little bit, and gave them the power to police the Black people. Now those white men have something to lose, even if they didn't have the wealth of the elite. And still many don't. When people are put on the second rung of the ladder, not the bottom, they will fight for that second rung. And they think eradicating and shitting on that bottom rung makes them more like the top rung. But what it does is once the bottom rung is pummeled so badly and even eradicated in extreme examples or attempted to, now you're the bottom rung again. And she gives the example of there was a German girl growing up during Nazi Germany who had dark curly hair. And when it got to the point during World War II where nearly all of the Jews were either in hiding or in concentration camps, people then turned their eyes on her, wondering if she was really Aryan. And it turned out that she didn't have any Jewish ancestry, but her family went to find out. Because the white supremacist eye never closes, it simply finds a new target. So the lower caste enforces, so the second to lowest caste enforces these rules, not to be traitors, but to try to survive the system that requires them to be where they are. And who benefits from all of it? The same caste at the top. And we see this all the time with workplace bullying between the same groups of people, or I hear all the time, the only woman leader is my mentor and she's awful to me. Or there's that one Black person who is a leader and they want nothing to do with me, and I don't understand what they want to mentor someone like them. Their target is on their back and they have a lot to lose.